Welcome to the Evening of Hope Home Edition. Now I know this looks a little different than the event you're used to. You're all gathered in small groups at home instead of at a big gala together celebrating, but we're still going to have a great time. Throughout all the difficulties of the last 2 years, Hope has continued to make lives better for those in need in our community, serving even more people. So we're going to celebrate Hope tonight, learn more about supporting their mission, and to start that off, we're going to start off with a drink. My name is Tammy Coxon. My business is Tammy's Tastings. I'm located in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and I've been teaching in-person cocktail classes in the area for 10 years as of September. But like everybody else in 2020, I had to figure out how do I pivot what I do, and I switched to teaching online cocktail classes, and I've taught 600 of them to date, which surprises me too. I don't know. I can't even explain it. But I really love the fact that I'm able to bring people together when they can't be together. So thank you for joining me to mix up a cocktail today. So we have both an alcoholic and non-alcoholic version for you. We've got versions that are easier and a little bit more complicated, so everybody hopefully can take part. I know you all are going to have some lovely Italian lasagna for dinner today, so we wanted to pick a cocktail that will complement that. And this is a riff on a cocktail you may have heard of, the lemon drop. So if you went to a bar and ordered a lemon drop, it probably would be a citrus vodka with maybe some sour mix added. We're going to upgrade those ingredients a little bit and bring some Italian flair to our flavors. So to kick things off, you're going to get your shaker handy. If you don't have a shaker, that's fine. You can use a mason jar. You just need something that you can close the top up and shake real hard. This drink is a sour. Sour is just a family of drinks that's composed of a base spirit, a citrus, and a sweetener. Lots of drinks we know and love fall into that, like margaritas or whiskey sours or gimlets or daiquiris. So this is just using its own set of ingredients and applying that to this sour formula. So the heart of the sour is that base spirit. In our case, that's going to be vodka. So you could use a citrus vodka for this. I am just going to use a plain vodka because we have lots of citrus flavor coming from other places. I am using Ann Arbor Distilling Company's wheat vodka. I live in Ann Arbor. I love to support my hometown distiller. So I'm going to use 1.5 ounces of that and put that into my shaker. And then part of the reason that I don't need to use that citrus vodka is because I'm going to get some added citrus flavor with an Italian ingredient called limoncello. So limoncello is an Italian liqueur. It's made from the peels of the lemon rather than the juice. So it doesn't have the acidity that you expect from lemon, but it has a ton of lemon flavor. It's also sweet, so it's going to be adding some sweetness to our drink. We're going to add 1/2 ounce of limoncello to the shaker. Now, if you didn't manage to get your hands on some limoncello, that's perfectly fine. Your recipe sheet has some alternatives for how to make this with just plain vodka. You can just skip the limoncello and use all vodka or citrus vodka instead. You would just increase some of the other ingredients to make up for that. All right, so that is our base spirit portion of our sour. Now let's talk about our sweetener. So to give this Italian flavor, we're going to use a rosemary infused simple syrup. Simple syrup is really easy to make at home. It's just equal parts water and sugar. Heat on your stove long enough to dissolve the sugar. But the fun thing about making your own simple syrup at home is that you can add your own touch to it. And I love to do herbal infused syrups. So thyme, rosemary, cinnamon, all sorts of things like that. So to make your rosemary infused syrup, you would just heat that water and sugar to a boil with some rosemary sprigs in there, and then turn it off, put the lid on, let it sit for about 30 minutes, and that's going to infuse tons of rosemary flavor into your cocktail. But if you didn't get around to doing that step, that's fine. You can just take some leaves off your rosemary sprig, muddle them up, mash them up with some plain simple syrup, and that will be just as good. I like the slightly mellower flavor that you get from the rosemary when it's steeping, and I like the fact that it'll keep in my fridge for a few weeks, but it'll still be a delicious drink if you go with the muddling route. So I'm going to add 1/2 ounce of that rosemary syrup to my shaker. That's our base spirit and our sweetener. So now we just need the citrus that is, of course, the heart of the sour part. So we're going to use lemon juice for this today, and using fresh juice is the most important thing you can do to improve the quality of your drinks at home. Doesn't matter if you went to Whole Foods and you paid $12 for a bottle of juice, or you went to the fish counter and paid $1 for a plastic squeezy lemon. What's in the bottle is all the same, and as soon as it's juiced, there's enzymes that get released and they start to turn that juice bitter. No additives or preservatives you can put in there to stop that from happening. So if at all possible, use fresh juice. Sometimes you didn't get to the grocery store, your delivery didn't arrive. That's fine, but if you've got it, definitely use it. And while I'm going to juice my citrus right now, you don't have to do that. If you're having a party, you can juice earlier on in the day and then just use that juice that evening, or try to use it up the next day. That's what I would recommend if you don't finish it the same day. All right, so I need ½ ounce of my lemon juice. It's a very generous lemon. All right, so that goes into my shaker. So we have all the ingredients: 1.5 ounces of vodka, ½ ounce of limoncello, ½ ounce of lemon juice, ½ ounce of rosemary infused syrup. Now, if you are making our rosemary lemon fizz, our non-alcoholic version of this drink, you don't have to worry about shaking. You're going to build this drink right in the glass you're going to serve it in. So this sort of drink would typically be served in a tall, skinny glass, something like one of these. But you could also use a smaller glass, whatever you have, that's perfectly fine too. And you're just going to combine the ingredients. So that would be 4 ounces of club soda, 3/4 ounce of lemon juice, 3/4 ounce of rosemary infused syrup. Add some ice in there to make it good and cold, and you are ready to go. Just give it a quick stir. Really light, refreshing, and delicious, and also really easy to make. And suitable for the whole family too. All right, but if you are making our rosemary lemon drop, then we are going to need to get this drink cold, and so we're going to shake it up. So when you're adding ice to your shaker, you always want to add a generous amount of ice. A lot of people will just put a couple cubes in, but you always want to make sure you have ice above the level of the liquid in your shaker. And that's going to make sure that you have enough. So my liquid started off around here, and now it's up to there, and I've got an ice cube poking up at the top, so I know I'm ready to go. I have what's called a Boston shaker, so it comes with 2 separate pieces that I combine like this. If you have the standard cobbler style shaker, that's perfectly fine. The shaking technique I'm going to show you will work the same for that too. Just make sure your cap is on there and you always keep your finger over the top and that you've sealed that up good and tight. Sometimes these have a tendency to leak, so just make sure that you've got it held together really well. So now for shaking, I'm going to show you how to shake a cocktail. The goal of shaking is to make sure that we move that liquid nice all around the inside of the shaker. So if we just do that straight up and down, we're not being very efficient. We're fighting gravity, right? So with a good seal on my shaker, I can hold this at a 45-degree angle, and now I'm going to get a lot more motion. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to shake it back and forth towards my shoulder, but really hard, really fast for about 10 to 15 seconds. So if you are ready, get your ingredients, get your shaker, and here we go. All right, can feel my shaker is really nice and frosty on the outside. I am ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and strain this off into a stemmed glass. So the reason I'm using a stemmed glass for this one rather than a tall, skinny glass like we talked about for the fizz is because this drink isn't going to be served on ice. So I don't want a glass that I need to put my hands on to hold on to. So that's the idea of serving drinks that aren't served on ice will typically get served in stemmed glasses so that you can hold it by the stem and keep your drink colder longer. We are almost, but not quite there. The last thing we need to do is to garnish our cocktail. So sometimes garnishes are really just for show, or they're a nice snack like the cherry in the bottom of a Manhattan. But our garnish that we're going to use today is going to add a nice appearance to the drink, but also a really nice aroma. So I'm just going to add another rosemary sprig to the drink itself so we can take a look at it. But I don't want to just set that rosemary sprig in there. I actually want to activate it. I want to activate its aroma by bringing out those oils that are in the leaves. And the best way to do that is to just kind of thwack it against the palm of your hand. And as you do that, you'll start to smell that rosemary aroma. You'll be transported to Italy. And now that I've got that aroma coming off of it, I can just go ahead and slide that into my cocktail so that it looks pretty. Thank you again for coming out tonight. If you'd like to learn more about me, you can find that all at tammystastings.com. And I hope you have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for supporting Hope. Cheers.